Well, here we go again. With our football team winning a bowl game, or basketball not even halfway through their season. You blink our eyes and here we are ready to start lacrosse again. So very excited about that. I was telling the team this morning, I woke up, had a cup of coffee, and I felt almost like game day jitters. And it was because we're going to meet with the team for the first time today. We did some film. We're going to get started with practice tomorrow. So ready to get going again. Everybody's back and healthy and ready to go. So did a great job academically. Really proud of the team. Probably our highest GPA ever. Some 4.0 guys on the team. So happy that we finished strong academically also. I'll take any questions when you're ready.
So I know you got a ton of returners back, and that cuts both ways because you've got guys with experience, you've got guys that still need to learn. So I'm curious, of the other returners, what's the one lesson you would like those guys to have learned from last year? They take to this year, so maybe the ending's a little bit different. What's the biggest benefit of experience? What sort of lessons do you hope they carry from last year?
Well, we inserted a bunch of younger guys. I think we played more freshman, sophomore than I can remember. And a lot of it, I think, was mostly because of their ability, really good ability, pretty talented guys, and wanted to get them out there in game situations. So we were hoping to be better at the end of the year than we were at the beginning of the year, like with any group, but especially with the younger guys. So that we want to draw on our experiences from a year ago. We've got 3 of the 4 attackmen back, maybe 4 of the 5 if you want to look at it that way, with a freshman from last year getting some experience. The first midfield's back with some other players in that position. The whole close defense is back, so we've got to replace our goalie. Got a little bit of battle going on there, but I think we just want to play. We want to play with that experience. I think a lot of teams that you've seen have great success have had some upperclassmen, some seniors, juniors, especially in the success of last year's teams. And I think a lot of it had to do not only with just their ability, but their experience and game experience.
Was there anything X's and O's wise that, we learned to play better at the end, or we need to do this better, that you hope to carry over from?
Well, I think you look at, turnovers in situations. You don't like to see that. It really comes down to the decision making in game situations. So one of the reasons we spent a lot of time with the film today was so that we could see some of the things that we did right and wrong last year. We'll focus on different aspects of the game: clearing, riding, offense, defense, so on. And so just mentally to get them going to eliminate some of those mistakes. And draw on things that we did well. I think that as coaches, that's one of the things we wrestle with. We're at practice, and we find ourselves anytime somebody makes a mistake or isn't in the right spot, or not communicating, that we go out there and we kind of correct them so that they don't make the same mistake again. And you forget to slap those guys in the back that are doing something well. So that's one of the things we focused on today too. Is hey, this is what here's what we did wrong. Yeah, that's one thing, but here's what we're doing right. Let's continue to do that and build on that. Yes.
Talking about the impact of last season, the teams that you're playing this year are opponents you all faced last season. How do you make sure that the results won't weigh over into this season?
Well, I think that's experience. A lot of them were very close games. A few of them, especially the Navy game where we had that under control, and I thought that we had a couple of tough turnovers, some bad decisions at the end of the game, or that could have been a win for us. So my hat's off to them. But, I think that we just want to keep getting better. That's what we have to focus on. Yes?
Now, Tucker Dorfman hurt his foot in this fall. How is he recovering?
He's doing a good job with it. We still got some time before he can go again. So, that remains to be seen right now. Yeah.
You touched on it briefly, but do you have any update on the starting position?
Drake Porter came out of the fall ahead of a couple of the other guys. But Strang and Clan are right there, and we're happy with the younger guys, with McPeak and Cacciadorian. They're doing a nice job. Right now, I'd say Drake, but I don't want to say anything that's not going to give incentive to the other goalies to keep trying to win that starting spot.
And anything specifically on his development that you've seen through his growth?
Just experience. He didn't redshirt a year ago, so he got a little bit of game time, and when he did, he performed well. But we're relying mostly on how the guys are doing in practice. We had some fall scrimmages where I think all the goalies held their own, and now you're going to look at things like clearing the ball. When things are, if it's a tight battle, you look at the other aspects of the game. So do you clear the ball well? If you do, that's maybe a turnover or two that we don't give to the other team. And normally when you're clearing the ball and you do have a turnover, those turn into goals a lot of times. So when things are, when you're nitpicking and things are really tight, you look at other aspects of the game.
Now, this will be your third starting goalie in 3 seasons, so how do these switches in net affect your team?
I've been happy with our goalie play, to be honest with you. I thought Dom last year was a strength. And he waited his turn, behind Malloy, and he, had transferred in, and I thought he did a very good job for us. A tough kid, and we're fortunate. We've got some good goalies and a good battle now. We've got, Drake was the under-19 Canadian goalie, national goalie, and Willie Clan is the USA under-19 goalie. Strang is very athletic, maybe the most athletic of all the goaltenders here. So he can get out of trouble, helps us out of the goal. So it's we've got some things going on, but I think in Drake's case, you want your goalies to be level-headed. I don't necessarily like a real emotional goalie where all of a sudden a goal goes in and he dwells on it. He's jumping up and down. He's mad at himself or he's mad at a teammate. And I think Drake's just the opposite. He's pretty calm. You want to, if you get scored on, you want to put that behind you right away and move on to the next save.
And then another replacement that you have to make this season would be on the attacking end in Brendan Bonberry's spot. Anyone you have leaning towards filling that position as a starter this year?
Well, we're pretty happy there. I think that you've got Solomon and Rafis back, and Voigt played quite a bit and was on the man-up last year. So we have, 3 of the 4 starters there. Owen Siebold has come back, a year wiser, is maybe one of the better Dodgers at the attack end of the field, so he's going to see time. Griffin Cook, got an All-American out of high school, Under Armour guy, has come in and fit in very nicely. Has understood the offense really quickly, performs well. He's one of the better guys out there with both hands, so that the ability to put him out there and let him play in 2 positions on the left side or the right side is going to help him get on the field also.
John, it's been a few years since this program's gotten Final Four weekend. Just tell me what that says about the parity in this game these days, and how close is this program getting back there?
Well, I think there is so much parity that just about anybody can get there. Look where the national champs came in from last year in Yale. And they've done a very good job of building that program up, and I think all the Ivies have gotten better. But lacrosse in general, and I've talked about it 100 times, that you look at everybody's rosters and where all the players are from at the high school level. It's just grown incredibly. Back when it was this area, Baltimore, Long Island, those were pretty much the only areas that you'd recruit from. Now you look at our roster, everybody's roster. I think Denver a couple years ago had players from 17 states, and we've got guys from California, Florida, Oregon, let alone the traditional hotbeds, and the Philadelphia, New Jersey area has exploded in lacrosse. I used to be able to look at other teams' recruiting rosters and know everybody on their roster that they had got to commit or come into their school. And it's because we all recruited the same guys. Now, if I know out of somebody's class of 12 or 13, if I know 3 or 4 of them, I'm lucky. And so there's 10 guys in that recruiting class on these other schools that I didn't even know about. So that just speaks for the growth of high school lacrosse. And even in the recruiting process, men's lacrosse, you're allowed to have 3 recruiters on the road at one time, and you might have 15 tournaments on the same day, and so you just can't cover everything. You can't see everybody, and then you get every school has surprises. Somebody might come in for lacrosse camp or a prospect day from some different area that didn't get a lot of exposure and maybe playing different sports, and they come in and you go, where'd this person come from? So it's the game of lacrosse has exploded, and it's not exploding at the Division I level. It's getting a little bit bigger, but not at the same rate as the high school growth.
And I guess I would like your opinion on a new ACC postseason format where all 5 teams are in, and then the top seed, maybe Syracuse, hosts the championship game. So how was that decided? And I assume all the coaches voted for it. Why was that thought the way to go?
Well, to be honest, I sit in those meetings, and the focus seems to change from year to year. And I think the biggest thought was, you know, with all the conferences playing most of their conference games in April, and to have an ACC team sit out and not participate in the tournament, I think the consensus was they wanted everybody to be able to participate. It's a lot of lacrosse, especially for those who are winning at that time of year. And with the change of the other, especially the Patriot League changing their conference date also, that was the one league that we could kind of have teams at that time of year because of how they set up the format. We had that extra weekend. So that's the way it is right now. We'll see if we like it, if all the coaches like it, going forward. But it is a lot of lacrosse for that time of year. But at least everybody will participate. You know, one of the things that got us in the playoffs last year was our strength of schedule and our wins in the top 5. So by playing that strength of schedule, that's really what got us in. And we had the wins. We had better wins than anybody in the country at the end of the year in the top 5. And I think that's what, along with the number 2 strength of schedule, that's what put us in. So this may help us with strength of schedule also.
It sounds like you're sure that you're not jumping up and down. You could have a game again in Syracuse, the ACC championship game in the Dome. I mean,
yeah, which would be great, and that's obviously a goal as we go on. But you got to take them one at a time. I think I hesitate only because of the unknown in that time of year and the number of games that you could potentially play.
Coach, obviously there's a bunch of new rule changes for this year.
Yeah.
Two of them big ones are the crease rules and the shot clock. How has your team adjusted so far to the new rule changes for this year?
We've spent all fall with the shot clock during practice and so on. It's I don't know if it's going to change what we do a lot. I think it'll affect other teams that rely on having more possession time at their offensive end of the field. I think that the clearing in certain situations is going to be different. You have basically an 80-second clock, and when you come up with a ball at your defensive end of the field, you've got 20 seconds to get it over, where it used to be 30 seconds, so there's an adjustment there. I think especially in situations like a face-off, where you have a scrum for the ball, you pick it up, you've got specialty players out there in a face-off situation, your face-off man, maybe a short stick defender and a pole. In ideal clearing situations, you might want to have your first midfield out there to clear the ball. So your clock is going to start, and the ball goes back in a face-off, if it goes back. And now you've got 20 seconds to clear the ball. If you use 3, 4, 5 seconds once you pick it up, to run with it and get to an open man, you're down to 15 seconds. If you have substitutions, you might use another 5 or 6 seconds in your subs. Now you're down to that 11, 10, 9, 8-second situation to clear the ball. And now how does that affect the opposing team? If that happens, how does it affect their mindset as far as rides go? How are they going to ride? And everybody will be different with that. So that's something we have to be ready for.
Coach, obviously you've seen a lot of different squads. What in your mind sets this group apart, or what do you think will make them special this year?
Well, I was really happy, walking in and walking out of the locker room this morning. You could feel an excitement and intensity there. Really looking forward to practice. We had a good fall. I think that, with the number of players that we had coming back, we're fairly comfortable coming out of the fall with what the guys were doing and how they've improved from a year ago. And I think it's the excitement. I think we've done, for the most part, better academically than we've done before. So it's great to see the focus in the classroom as well as on the field. We did less in the off season. It was funny. I watched the news last night, and they had a doctor on that did a lot of studies that there's a lot of youth sports now, and these kids are more and more injuries because of how much they play and how much they specialize at a young age. So it was kind of good to hear, because we had laid off them at the end of the fall, did a little bit less in the off season, hoping to have fewer injuries coming into the spring and throughout the spring.
Now, looking at the beginning of your schedule, you guys start with 7 straight games in the Dome. How is that going to impact your season?
It's a great question. The Carrier Dome is obviously a great place to play, and I think one of the reasons that you have teams coming in is that lacrosse seems to start earlier every year, so you're pretty much guaranteed the game coming into the Carrier Dome. Even our scrimmages are here in Ensley, and that's because of the earliness of the season. And where you can play, you might get shut out of a scrimmage weather-wise or an early season game weather-wise, and now have to reschedule. So, back in the day, we were always going south to get our scrimmages in our early games because we thought the chances of getting the game in were better. Now, strangely enough, people want to come to Syracuse because they're guaranteed getting in a facility like this, and playing here and getting the game in as opposed to canceled somewhere else. So, but on the other hand, I think as much as we're comfortable playing in the Carrier Dome, I think it's an excitement to the other team to come and play in the Carrier Dome. So it's a little bit of a draw for them to come in and play in that environment. And as a result, I think teams are pretty psyched to come in.
And then, Coach, another rule change this year was the dive being legal. Will you encourage your attackmen to do it? Why?
I think the guys kind of want to do it anyways. I think that time will tell. The reason it was taken out had a lot to do with injuries, especially to goaltenders. Sometimes a player would hit the pipe with his shoulder or whatever and get hurt. So I think that not only have they put it back in, but of how you can do it, and you have to be diving or jumping away from the goal for that to happen. They don't want anybody jumping towards the goal and getting a potential injury or injuring your goalie. We had a situation this fall in Philadelphia where a player on an opposing team dove into the goalie and actually hit his knees and bent his leg backwards. So I was kind of holding my breath on that one. It turned out to be a 2-minute penalty on the other team. So I think if players understand how and when, it could add some excitement to the game. But we'll see where it goes from here. I think this year will tell a lot about what they're going to do with it in the future.
And then how have you been working with your goalies in that way too, so that they avoid injury?
It's we haven't done a lot with it. We haven't overthought that because we really didn't have clarity on it until the coaches convention. When I was at the coaches convention, the rules committee and the head official spoke on that, and they had a demo film on it, so it cleared a lot of things up. So not having the clarity in the fall, didn't want to focus on it too much because all of a sudden we practice a certain way and then they change it come springtime, that we had enough to worry about without trying to focus on that. So I think it's a good rule. And to answer your question, it's a very difficult thing because your goalies are going to want to position themselves in a way where it's going to look like the attackman is diving towards him. And even though he may be diving away from the goalie can come out and play an angle, and so that there may be contact. That's a tough one. I haven't made a decision on that because now you're placing yourself in an area where you could get an injury. So and that was the whole reason that they put these rules in. And I think time will tell. Will the rules committee and the officials say, is that now almost like drawing an offensive charge, or are you putting yourself in that position, and is that going to be allowed? Because the whole reason we put these rules in is to avoid the injury, and now some goalies and coaches may be putting their goalies in a position where they can get hurt. So time will tell on that one.
John, how has the number 11 kind of carved out its own legacy, especially?
The guys have done that on their own. We didn't do it like a 22 thing. I think that the guys have kind of, hey, here, this guy's been a first-team All-American. Let's pass it on to the next guy. So that thing is evolved through the team into its own thing, and I think it's healthy. I think it's good. It's anything to create incentive and to add some excitement to the team is a positive thing.
And on that same vein, how has Austin carried that, and kind of what do you expect from him?
Well, he's a fifth-year guy. And he is voted captain again, so I think that tells you what the team thinks of him. So I think in his case, the number 11 is not only just for ability, but for leadership of the group. That's probably one of our deepest positions. You have to run more than one pole in the course of a game. We've probably watched this. We played 2 and 3 a year ago, and then with Kennedy out there also as just a machine on ground balls, and we'll be bumping him down to close defense too, depending on attack and midfield matchups. So that I think it's a good thing. It's great that Austin is wearing it, and I think he's going to do good things with that number.
So speaking of numbers, second year.
Which number are you talking about?
Second year in a row with no 22, right?
Yeah.
And I guess Tyler can look up and Have you gone 2 years before without 22? But was anybody interested in 22?
Yeah.
And will there be?
I think there's guys interested in it.
Will there be 22 at some point ever again, or what?
Yeah,
what's the extent of that?
I hope so. You know, one of our last 22s was a four-time first-team All-American and was a Tewaaraton winner 2 times. I don't think we don't have anybody that's going to be a 4-time All-American just yet, and let alone a 2-time Tewaaraton winner or midfielder of the year, whatever. So that, you know, I just, that number is a big deal, and I have not wanted that to change the focus on a particular player right now. It doesn't mean that we won't have a 22 next year, whether it be somebody on the team now or someone coming in. And I just want the players that we have to focus on getting better individually and as a team. So I think that I didn't want to put it on somebody this year. I think there's some guys that we're looking at that could wear it in the future, but not yet.
So you just say, guy comes up and says, "Hey, how about 22?" And you think, "Well, we'll think about it maybe next year." Or something.
Yeah. Well, the 22 goes on somebody who's a 22. I don't want to put a 22 on somebody in hopes of being a 22.
I'll take one more. Good.
You said everybody's healthy except for Tucker, right?
Yes.
And Tucker should be ready for the start of the season.